Howdy everyone, it's me, Zombie, your favorite cosplay friend with a middle part. Today I'm gonna be making a Hobbit costume. I love Lord of the Rings, so when an opportunity came up to make this costume, I was like, yeah! This costume requires a fair amount of sewing, and even though I'm always reading tutorials and watching videos about sewing and trying new things with sewing and always trying to challenge myself, I still struggle with sewing like all the time. But since I'm not a level 99 sewing juggernaut, I do know some tips and shortcuts and little tricks that will hopefully help you along on your own cosplay journey. If you're planning on making your own Hobbit cosplay, or if you're just curious to see how I made this, keep on watching. Let's go to the crafting table. Okay, so I just got back from the craft store with my materials to make my Hobbit costume. This is some green faux suede. I love it so much. It's so soft. And it was on sale, which is always good. I got about 2 yards of this. I figured that might be just a little bit too much, but we can always find something to use for that later on. And for making this shirt, I got this stretchy cotton rayon mix thing, and it feels really light and comfortable, and of course, being stretchy, that's always awesome. And then I got some matching thread, and I also got this fastener to tie the cloak together, which I love. It just looks so rustic and cute. I also got these eyelets for the costume. All around me are familiar faces. They're like this weathered, tarnished chrome, and they look really cool. I think they'll go really nicely on the vest. Hi, Neeners! It wouldn't be one of my costumes without your fur on it, would it? Go lay on the suede, Neeners. It's much more comfortable. Good kitty. Here's the material I chose for the blouse part of the costume. I'm kind of going for more of a like traditional female Hobbit shirt. They show up a lot in the movie, and I really got inspiration from this from seeing Rachel Maskey's How to Dress Like a Hobbit video. For the base of the shirt, I'm just gonna be using one of my favorite t-shirts. I really like how it fits, and it's also in a very similar material. And usually I would trace this or tape a pattern for this shirt before transferring it, but I don't really feel like doing that today, so I'm just gonna kind of freehand this part. And I'm being pretty generous with the seam allowance. I'm leaving almost a full inch just in case I need to adjust anything. And I'm also marking this at about the middle right here. Now I'm gonna flip this over and cut around the other side so this is symmetrical. Now I'm gonna fold this back out, and with the front, I want the front of the collar to come down a little bit further than the back. So I'm gonna cut in my scoop. I'm only doing 1/2 of one side and then flipping it over and cutting out the other side. Now that I have my 2 base pieces of my blouse cut out, I'm gonna pin them and then sew them all together. And for pins, I like using these Wonder Clips. I just think they're so much easier to use, and I poke myself way less, but really it's just whatever you prefer. While I'm sewing this together, I wanted to give a special thank you to my supporters on patreon.com. Y'all make the variety of all the different things I create possible. So thank you so much for your support. It really means the world to me. And here is what the shirt looks like so far after going through the sewing machine. The only thing really different about cutting this part from a regular sleeve is I'm gonna be giving myself a lot more room. The reason why I'm making this a bit wider is so I have some more material for my poofy bit at the bottom of the sleeve. And instead of freehanding this pattern, I'm gonna sketch it using my shirt as the reference, just so I have an approximate idea of where I need to cut. So here's what the sleeves look like after they're cut out. Now I'm gonna use my sewing machine and sew up the sides and then attach them to the shirt. So here's what the shirt looks like with the sleeves on it now. Next, I'm gonna work on my little quarter puffy sleeve things. To do this, I have some elastic, and I'm just measuring it around my arm and then sewing it so it becomes a little hoop. And now that I've made my elastic hoops, I can pin them to the inside of the shirt and sew them in place. Solaire, can I see this shirt so I can show them what it looks like? Solaire! Thank you, Solaire, I appreciate it. So here's what the shirt looks like so far with its little floofy sleeves. Now I'm gonna move on to the collar area right here. The collar looks a little bit ruffly as well. So what I'm gonna do is take a thin piece of elastic and install it right around the collar here, just to give it that fantasy cool, ruffly look we're going for. So some of y'all may recognize this midnight blue material. It's actually from my Sam Porter jumpsuit. I had a ton of extra fabric left over. I believe this is like a stretchy rayon material, and I think it'll work perfectly for my vest. I have this tank top here, and I'm gonna be using it as a loose base as for what I want my vest shape to look like. And just like the last pattern, I'm only gonna be doing half of this, flipping it over and then cutting it again. Now that I have this pattern cut out, I'm gonna use these Wonder Clips and clip everything together. And now that I've sewed the sides together, I went ahead and cut an extra little piece off on the front, just so the collar piece fits nicely. So we are back after trimming some of the collar and sleeves, and Beaners is here, just coming to make sure I do this next part right. Now, even though you're not gonna see the back of this pretty much at all, I wanted to do a cute grommeted lace up on the back. I don't know, I just felt like it. I just thought it would be really fun. And I love grommets. Who doesn't love grommets? And this is the back, so I'm just gonna cut straight up the back here. And then I'll install them with my little crushy grommet tool. Arrgh. So it just ran into a slight issue. As you can see, I have my grommets installed, but I ran out of them. Believe it or not, this tiny little packet of grommets was just not enough. I should have known that. So I do have these grommets left over from another project. They're not exactly the same. The color is off, and they're just slightly bigger than the ones I already have installed. But it is 4 a.m. and Joann's is not open, unfortunately. So I'm gonna make these work by painting them the exact same color as these tarnished gunmetal looking grommets that I already have installed with some Tamiya gunmetal paint that I have. So while I'm waiting on the paint to dry on those grommets, I am going to start the part that I am the most excited for, and that is the cloak. So the cloak is actually gonna be really simple. It's just gonna be a hooded cloak and then this little sew-on toggle in the middle. I think it'll turn out really cute. So here is my hood pattern. It's really just a corner of a piece of pattern paper with kind of a slope cut into it. And I'm going for more of a sizable hood because, I don't know, I just think oversized hoods look really cute. And I pretty much just held this up to my head to make sure that this would be big enough for a hood. And now that this is weighed down with my 1, 2, 3 blocks and my toggle, I'm just gonna cut this material out. And looking at how thin this material is, I think I'm actually going to double layer at least just the hood part, just so it's got a little bit more oof. So I'm gonna repeat this process again and cut out another hood piece. Now that I have my 2 double layered hooded pieces back to back like this, I am going to pin them all together with my little Wonder Clips. So now I'm gonna go ahead and sew my hooded pieces together. And since this part is so thick, I'm going really slow and steady with my sewing machine. So here's the hood all sewn up. Now I'm gonna make the long, flowy cloak part of it. By the way, I love this material so much. I probably said that like 5 times already, but I can't stop touching it. So I just measured about how long I want my cape to be. So 46 inches long and about 26 inches wide. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut out that piece of fabric now. I actually had to cut this off camera on the floor because my kitty cat is still sleeping on my sewing table and I just didn't want to move her, so a compromise was made. I'm sure you'll understand. But as I was cutting this out, I actually really like how the raw edge looks on this faux suede, so I'm not gonna hem it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin everything together. I'm gonna fold this in half so I can see approximately where the middle of the top of the cloak part is compared to the hood, and I'm just gonna kind of boop, squish them together with my fingers and put a little clip there. And I should mention, if you want a wider cloak, just cut it a few inches wider so it kind of covers your entire front of your body, if that's kind of the look you're going for. And would you look at that? That matches up perfectly with how wide the hood is. That was totally on accident. And this was a piece I cut raw. It wasn't just with the edge of the fabric or anything like that, so wow! And I should also mention, your cloak doesn't have to be the exact same size as your hood. You can always pleat your cape or ruffle it. And now that this is sewed up, I'm cleaning up this inside edge with my scissors here. You could also choose to do a roll hem on this as well, but there's lots of different ways to do this. All right, she's all sewn together and trimmed on the inside. Now I can add my little sew-on toggle. This is leather, but there are little holes around the corner right here, and I actually think I am going to hand stitch this onto the hood. I just think it'll look really cool that way. That's exactly what the directions say on the back. I'm choosing to go with some dark brown thread to sew this on, but heck, you could choose any color you want. I just finished sewing both sides of the toggle onto the cloak, and that's how it fits together. I really like that. It looks so cute. Now for the bottom of the cloak, I want it to look more weathered, like it's been tattered and dragged around in the dirt and mud and all that stuff. To start doing that, I'm gonna cut a jagged pattern at the bottom right here, and I'm also gonna cut a few holes in before we move on to the next step. To make the bottom of this cloak look dingy, I'm using some black Vallejo paint, some water, and a chip brush to stipple in some pigment. As I'm going up the cloak, I'm adding more water so it looks like it's darker at the bottom here and then it fades upward. All right, I'm pretty happy with how this looks for now. After it dries, I may come back and touch up some bits and pieces that I want to be more weathered or different colors or however, but I just want to let it dry for now. Okay, so these new grommets are finally all dry, and you can tell compared to the other grommets back here, they're pretty different, but they're gonna have to do.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
I have removed the grommets that I have just put in. And that's because when I put them in, I realized that I hated them and they looked bad. I got some more grommets. Oh my gosh, these look so much better. I'm so happy. That looks so much better. So I'm gonna lint roll this and then I'm going to crisscross some suede lace into my grommets here. For the final bit of the vest, I attached these decorative buttons. Are they practical? No. Are they cute? Yes. And now that everything's done, here's what the costume looks like. The makeup, I did more of a natural freckled look, and I didn't feel like curling all of my hair, so instead I cheated and put a wig on. I got these hobbit ears on Amazon and applied them with spirit gum. And for the feet, I just applied some hair-like strokes with a makeup brush. In the future, I can definitely see myself getting some special effects hair and putting it on my foots, which I think would just be the coolest thing ever. You should totally do that if you have time. I mean, when else are you gonna have opportunity to stick hair to your feet? Probably never. This week's Makers of the Week include Fenrir Wolf R2, who made these awesome Clone Trooper helmets. I think they look so neat. They're still a work in progress, he says, but I really like how they're turning out. Oren Cosplay showed me the Genji Nomad that he made. You look so cool, and I love how this photo turned out too. Awesome job. And finally, Casabella's cosplay turned out phenomenal. I love the wings. I love the prop. Everything looks awesome. Thank you so much for showing me. If you'd like to show me what you're working on, all you have to do is tag me either on Twitter or on Instagram. Username's the same on both. You can DM me if you want to, or you can use the hashtag Maker of the Week, because seeing what you guys create makes my day, so I can't wait to see what you guys are working on. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, consider hitting that subscribe button, because I would love to see you back. Until next time, bye everyone.